Totally talk about that one. Oh my gosh, I love it when the countdown comes when we're in the middle of a conversation because really we never know when the countdown is going to come. So, hey, welcome to another Presence with Watercolor with Jen Saunders and Leah Montani. If you don't know, we're the Righteous Rebels from the Righteous Rebels over on Facebook. And so we've been doing this. Leah had this wild idea that she wanted to do watercolor presentations and being present with watercolors for 30 days. So taking all the days, weekdays in a month for 30 days and just getting present with the medium of watercolor. Honestly, I think she did it to torture me. I I have told her I would be her guinea pig and go along. So that's what we're doing. We're on day I don't even know, and I don't even care. We're on day 7, and it's actually, don't tell her, but it's been a lot of fun. And I'm learning some things. Yeah, plug your ears. I'm learning some things. And if you watched yesterday's, you actually saw me have a little bit of a crack open moment at the end as some of the stuff that was presented. Just about being present with the colors and the brush and the paper really hit home to some places for me. And that's what this is all about. It's about us practicing things that are uncomfortable, at least for me. I know Leah's been also stepping into some ways of teaching and some ways of painting that she hasn't done before so that she can join in that discomfort. And it's about practicing together and normalizing the fact that it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just about taking the steps and that it's okay to do it with other people and to be able to have that support as you learn something new and as you're growing and expanding and becoming more of the amazing person that you already are. So with that said, Leah, I'm just going to turn. Oh, let's wait a second. If you are not a part of our Righteous Rebels group, we invite you. This is your personal invitation right here, right now. Head on over to Facebook to the Righteous Rebels and hit the join button. Well, maybe don't hit it, just tap it. I think maybe on your, I don't know. We'll let you in. We would love to have you come share. Yeah, I got to hook mine up. Come share the magic that you have to offer over there. And also, it's a place that you can display. We have an art gallery pinned to the top where you can display your practice pieces. I need to remember to go and put some of mine up. But yeah, we got a lot of amazing stuff going on over there just for you. And we've created some really awesome adventures that we'll talk about later. But for now, let's get present with water.
Yes. Let's do it. Yes, thanks for that introduction, Jen. I love watercolors because they're a bit unruly. They take some time to learn how to use and to get them to do the things that you want to do. And even when you've had a lot of practice and you think you know what you're doing, they like surprise you and do something rogue. And it's like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. And you really have to just kind of see what that process is trying to say to you. I know in my beginning days, I found it really frustrating to have those things happen because in my head, I had a certain image of what I wanted them to do. But that's the beautiful thing of water is you have to flow, and it's just the color bringing that water to life and giving it a life of its own. So
I'm loving that you're talking about this because it fits everything we're doing over in Righteous Rebel. I mean, you use the word rogue, you use the word unruly, and I know that when the person listening to this hears that, they may like fall back into old patterning, right, of what it means to be rogue and unruly,
and then watercolors are rebel.
Right? Rebel. And then you said, wait, then you learn how to follow the water and the flow, and that's exactly what we're doing. Okay, it was just like, all right.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's such a great medium to learn to let go of expectation, and it's learning to let go of what we think it should be, and just really feel into that process. And I love that you mentioned what went on for you yesterday, and it's really getting present in your body, in those sensations, and letting go. And it's such a challenging thing because we're so results oriented, and time is money, and like, how is this productive and all that stuff. And it's like a nature walk. A nature walk is has no tangible outcomes that way, like that you can measure with dollars or productivity markers or anything like that. But it's so healing to our souls, and that's how I feel about watercolor. So anyway.
You know what I love about that nature piece is that we've created opportunities for people to come and experience everything that you just said, to like level up all of these other pieces in their lives that they get to participate in too. So that was just like a little shameless plug and curiosity piece. So
Awesome. All right, so if you want to join us today, all you need is some watercolor paper, 140-pound press. Cold press is my favorite. You can use both sides. There is a rougher side, so I usually start with that side. Some water. Today, we're going to change it up a little bit and use some watercolor pencils. So these are kind of fun. And I believe it's Jen's first time, so that'll be interesting. And then we have some some paintbrushes, and I'm going to switch my camera. I just wanted to share a quick. If you haven't read this book, it's amazing.
oh my gosh, it's our fave. It's our fave.
Yeah, we read it every day. There's a passage for every day of the year, and it's those little morsels you get to just chew on and think about, and it challenges how you look at things. And I love the power of symbols, and it makes me think of like the totems that we have, and those little good luck pieces. But it starts off today: if you truly hold a stone, you can feel the mountain it came from. And I just had to share that because I think there's so much meaning to that. And the origins, where did we come from, where our backstories and all that stuff. So
well, and you know what, you can even like put that into your art. Like if you I'm not even going to go into it, but that made me just think of that. I was like, because I could talk forever.
Okay. Well, we can definitely. So I'm just going to switch my camera so we can get started. Today we're just going to focus on doing some triangles. Can you see my page? We're just going to do some basic shapes today. And I asked Jen to pick a shape, and we're going to do some fun triangles. So because I'm kind of random, I had this impulse to want to start here at the edge, but it kind of makes my hand feel off. So I'm going to start in the middle and just take a blue watercolor pencil and draw a simple triangle. And you are welcome to pick whatever color suits you.
So I say, when you're doing that, are you laying down a pretty thick line? It looks like.
It looks like it. I'm more looking at the edges here. I'm going to switch back and forth with, I think, yeah, that's an indigo. So I'm going to make some space in between so you can really see what the watercolors pencils do. You have definitely more control with the watercolor pencils, just because you can lay down the colors that you want in the places that you want, and then just look at how much water you're applying. It gets dicey when you add more water and seeing what it's going to do. And it depends on what kind of watercolor pencils you have and all that stuff. And how, what's that called? How dark you want your colors, I guess, or what saturation is what's the word I'm looking for. What's the saturation of the colors that you want? So if you want less intense color, you're going to do thinner lines or apply less color. If you want more, you're going to, it could be coloring it in more. So I'm just going to make some more triangles. So I'm curious now, back to the stone and holding the beginnings, the story of the beginnings. How did that come up for you when you were thinking about art?
Oh, I just thought, it kind of took me back to yesterday, and just the if we if after we've painted something and we choose to sit back when it's finished and just hold it, look at it, observe it, that we might just be able to see pieces of us and where we came from and where that artwork stemmed from, and just like a deeper part of ourselves.
Well, this it makes me think of the stories behind it, like why why we chose those colors. And in the moment, I don't think we're necessarily conscious of it. Um, but it makes me think back to I had this impulse to do a rooster painting, and I've never had any inclination towards roosters, and they're kind of annoying. Like I've just that's never been something that I've wanted to do, but I just felt like this. I gotta try this, and I remember going through the flow of that and just putting that painting together. And it wasn't until it was done, I'm like, I still had that nagging question of like, okay, why did I even want to do this? Like, what was it? What's the message behind it? And so I started going to Google and seeing, what does a rooster mean? What's the symbolism of a rooster? And I think at that time in my life, I was really wanting to show up in different ways. I was it was in a time where I was learning to find my own voice and start to use it. And it was like a sign, I guess, of, it's time to rise and shine and start to use your voice and that sort of thing. And I was just remember feeling like, damn, it just took me off guard. Because that it wasn't the intent behind it when I was in it. So I just found it interesting. So
That is fascinating. The whole rise and shine, rise and shine.
yeah. And it's funny how, like, we were talking about this yesterday, how our subconscious is always picking up information around us, and it's not always in our conscious mind. And maybe it's like one of those things where it comes out, and you get that idea and that flow, because it's like your subconscious trying to talk to you and give you those messages to say, how are you going to show up today? How are you going to rise and use your voice? And um, yeah. Okay, I'm going kind of, I don't know why, but it was just calling me to container this triangle thing up. Okay, that kind of makes my hand hurt. I'm gonna take a narrow or smaller brush. How are you making out, Jen? Are you ready to start?
Well, I'm drawing.
Okay,
I'm making shapes.
okay. Did you want to try with water, or shall we continue drawing a little bit more?
Give me just a second before we do water,
Okay,
please.
cool. Then maybe I will make a few more shapes. I don't know. I'm feeling like waves. I feel.
That is so funny because look at that! I just totally drew waves.
Oh, that's awesome. It made me think of this thing I saw about, like, how we want things to be more level, and life feels so like up and down, and it feels like a roller coaster, and we want things to feel more like predictable and even. And then the person's like, then you might as well be dead, because think of a heartbeat,
Right, flat line.
yeah, exactly, the up and downs of all of that, and how we need those up and downs to be alive, even though they can be challenging at times. And that's what the
You know,
waves have me thinking about today.
I've had that thought many times in my life, especially when I started trail running, and recognizing that as much challenge as the uphill brings, it's awesome because it makes you think in a different way. It makes you work in a different way. You experience the whole run in a different way, and but then you get to have the downhill. And I just thought, made me think, like, it's like the sinus rhythm. If that thing's flat, you're dead. And I would rather have some waves and than have a boring a boring life, unfeeling. Oh wait, kind of like a zombie. I feel like zombies might be flatlined.
Yeah.
No,
Well, and then I think of your trail running, and isn't that another practice in being fully present
oh,
in taking
completely.
each step forward?
For me,
Um,
it is. It's an opportunity to really learn how to be with myself, learn from nature, experience myself in different ways. Um, that really forced me to, and force isn't the right word, that really put me in a situation to have to be present.
hmm.
And that can be challenging to know how to be with yourself that long. And recognize, really start recognizing your own magnificence and the voices that run around through your head, mostly unchecked.
Yeah. Well, and do you find, I imagine from what you've said in past ones, like those moments where like in this process you're hearing those voices and having to navigate that. Like what's how is that experience?
um yeah, I really get an opportunity to notice which of them speak loudly and which of them um I probably have allowed to run around unchecked. And it's not always a comfortable thing to recognize, like, okay, is that my voice, or is that a voice of, a teacher or a parent or somebody who's taught me something out of wanting the best for me, and I just have chosen to believe that that's my voice when in reality it's not.
That's such an interesting idea. I remember talking to a friend of mine. She had just started picking up a paintbrush after years that she just let that piece of her go. And in chatting, um, not in chatting, in starting to practice that again and share her work, her friends would remind her of things that she had long forgotten. And I asked her, why is it that you let that piece of you go for so long if it was such a predominant piece in your world? And she told me a story of a high school teacher that she poured herself into this one project, and he said it was no good and it was never going to do anything, and like it just really was critical of her process and what came out of it. And I just, and then I asked her, you know, she was later on in the conversation, she was telling me about a commission piece that she had, and how she's been putting it off and all this stuff. And I'm like, why do you think that is? And it sounded exactly like what she had said her art teacher had said. I'm like, whoa, did you notice that? Like, did you notice you said the exact thing that you just told me your art teacher told you years ago?
Hmm.
And it was just such a neat realization. And I'm like, do you realize that's not actually you? That's just you hearing his voice. And what was cool what after that was that this stalled project that had been on the back burner for months, feeling that perfectionism in her to like, I don't know how to finish this and it's not going to be good enough and all that stuff. How after that conversation she sent me a picture the next day that it was done and it was amazing. And I was just like, how much we have those blocks within us that we don't even realize, and the stories and the voices that we hear that we think are ours, but really, like you said, they're just not.
And it can feel tricky to decipher those because they sound like us.
Yeah,
And the things that we've come to believe, or beliefs we created when we were, it sounds like us. And learning to decipher that can feel, I don't know, it's tricky.
definitely. How you make it out there, Jen?
uh Fine, I'm just splashing water on. Oh my gosh.
I think that's cool that waves came into this one. I think when we first talked, I had in my head that it was just going to be triangles all across the page, and then it's
That's what
just.
I envisioned too. No.
And now here I am, and I'm like, this is totally not. But there are triangles in it, so I did stay to that piece. So.
Huh.
The neat thing about watercolor pencils, if you don't want to use the brush, you can just dip the actual pencil, and it'll be like a smooth application. Again, it's you're not at the mercy of the brush. You have a little bit more control, because sometimes the brush can make a stroke that you're just not ready for, or a little wider, or a little bit not in the place that you wanted it. So um, yeah, there's definitely more play. Right now, I'm just dipping my watercolor pencil into the actual water, and moving it around that way. It has a smooth texture when you apply it on the page, which is kind of neat. Um, but if you're not careful, it will slide on you and have the paintbrush effect too. So it's all a
Hmm.
gamble, I feel like.
Yeah, that's interesting.
There.
Yeah, I just tried to run mine through like the water parts of it. Doesn't it doesn't want to spread, but that's okay. Oh,
Switcheroo. You can go over it once it's wet with the watercolor, but what I find is it doesn't lay down the same, and it will just kind of make an indent on your paper. So this, what I'm doing right now, not super recommended, but if you want to experiment and just see what it does, you're more than welcome to, but it doesn't work the same.
yeah,
Um,
that's what I was just trying to do. It doesn't. At least these
yeah,
pencils don't allow that to happen super well.
yeah. So definitely on dry paper, unless you're coloring in, you can go in with a wet watercolor pencil. Like here, this spot is just dry, and I'm going in with a wet watercolor pencil, and it works great there. But once the paper's already wet, it's just going to indent. It's not going to lay down the color how you want it to.
Oh, that okay. That was cool. I totally just wet the actual pencil. That was cool.
Yeah,
Dang.
neat, eh? It
Hey,
just slides, eh? I never noticed I said that until I met you, I swear.
I was like, oh, I just did that. So everyone else can hear. You're welcome. Sometimes I don't
uh,
even recognize I do that anymore. I'm like, just because I think it's funny.
that's so funny. It reminds me of this movie, totally stereotypical of what a Canadian is with their um, Tim Hortons coffee and
Hey, I even know
red,
what that is now.
yeah, red and black plaid shirt, and the big dream that all Canadians have in this movie is to ride a giant Canada Goose. Like ride on the back of a giant Canada Goose. So I always think that's such a funny frame of reference. So there is my creation with watercolor pencils today.
Wow.
And I'm going to switch it over. And I mean, if you have these, you can always take like a Sharpie or find glitter pens or gel pens, and just, write your favorite quote on them, or you can do a printout and of your favorite quote with the letters, or if you have vinyl or whatever it is that can repurpose them, or they can just be beautiful art that you made, that you have and you remember that part of the process. So,
Wow. Okay.
hey, oh, I like that. I like how you
This,
made them.
these don't really show because the water actually took the colors. It doesn't show on the camera well, but there is color there.
No two watercolor pencils are equal. So, but using the pencils versus the paint and the palette.
That is kind of interesting. It is interesting that it had the little more control in actual shapes, but I think I liked better wetting the pencil down and then doing it that way.
Yeah.
I don't
Why?
know. I liked how it felt on the page. Like
Mm.
it just had more glide to it. And I don't know, it's just kind of cool to watch it, like the sheen of the water of the color come onto the page versus what it looks like when it's dry coming on the page. And it sounds different too.
Very cool. See, I love how you're paying attention to those little things, because that's what it's all about: being present, being in your body, feeling all the sensations, using all your senses. So I love it. Well,
Yay! Day 7. I survived day 7.
it says host has left the broadcast. You still look like you're here.
I'm here. I'm here. That's funny. So I had a thought and now it's gone because evidently I left the broadcast. Oh, it was this. Yesterday at the end of the day, I thought I want to go back and look at what I did in the morning and see if I have a different. I actually didn't do it, so I will do it this morning when we're off here and see what my response is to what happened yesterday. That's got to be Luba.
It's gotta be. Schedules are all over the place. We're working with what we got.
I guess it could be Megan, whoever it is. Thank you for showing up.
Yes.
Yeah, but interesting. I had the thought like to just go back and look at it at the end of the day, where I've had an entire day now of time and thoughts that have moved through, to see what my experience is with what I put on the page in the morning, and to see like how those pieces of me that got tapped into may respond to that, or if there's more like aha moments in that. So I'm gonna have an interesting experience doing that here a little bit later. So
Yep, Luba. Where else would I want to? Oh, Luba, you're the best.
do it when we can do it, sister.
That's
so
right.
Anyway, thanks for being with us here on day 7. Tomorrow, we'll see what happens. You may just get Leah tomorrow. We'll see how that turns out. But thank you for joining us. And if you're not a part of the Righteous Rebel family, head on over to the Righteous Rebels on Facebook. Tap that join button and show your magic with us. And just remember, you're amazing and you have a lot to give. And it's time. It's just time. And thank you for being with us. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow on,
Yes.
I'm getting a message for our live unscripted is today.
Yes, that's
tomorrow
right.
For another day 8. And today at 1 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Mountain for our live and unscripted with Tammy Gaines.
Yay! Tammy. She's a fireball.
She is a fireball.
It's going to be a fun conversation. So if you can join that or catch the replay, definitely worth joining in. So
absolutely. All right. Should we send them out?
Yeah.
All right. Be bold. Be brave. Be a rebel.
Be a rebel.
See you soon.
Not too bad that time.
It's getting better.